A vast man-made hill stands silent after centuries, its builder's intentions a forgotten whisper. These colossal earthworks are scattered across continents, from Europe to the Americas, and they are far more than simple piles of soil. They are enigmatic monuments guarding the deepest secrets of our ancestors. Why would societies with no contact pour generations of labor into reshaping the very ground beneath them? By the end of this exploration, you will understand the hidden blueprint behind these global phenomena, from celestial calendars to landscapes of pure power. We will uncover why a massive serpent was etched into the Ohio soil, and what messages are encoded in desert lines visible only from the sky. What enduring human need do you think drives us to leave such a permanent mark on the earth? Rising from the English plains, Silbury Hill is a testament to ancient ambition. This colossal man-made mound required moving a volume of earth equal to millions of baskets of chalk and clay, a task spanning generations. Such structures are known as massive earthworks, large-scale modifications of the landscape created entirely by human effort. They are not built from quarried stone, like the famous circles at Stonehenge, but from the earth itself. This fundamental choice makes them both more fragile, subject to erosion and the growth of nature, and more deeply woven into the fabric of the world. Archaeologists like Richard Bradley call them landscape artifacts because the terrain becomes the canvas and the clay for a society's greatest expression. To qualify as a massive earthwork, a structure must possess certain defining characteristics. The sheer scale is the first clue, a project so vast it required the coordinated labor of an entire community, often for decades or even longer. The location is another vital piece of the puzzle. These earthworks were not placed randomly. They were carefully situated on ridges, in valleys, or along rivers, chosen for maximum visibility or to interact with specific geographical features. This foundational understanding of their immense physical presence allows us to truly grasp the ambition involved. It leads us forward to explore the stunning variety of forms these earthworks took, from the defensive walls of Hillforts to the artistic lines of desert geoglyphs. The West Kennet Long Barrow holds its secrets deep within the English earth, a long, grassy mound that is far more than a simple hill. It is a house for the departed, a carefully engineered structure of stone and soil that has guarded the remains of selected individuals for over 5,000 years. Across Europe, these burial mounds, often called barrows or tumuli, rise from the landscape like permanent echoes of a community's most profound beliefs. They were not merely graves but powerful statements. The immense effort required to build them, often involving moving tons of earth by hand, was a clear signal of the importance of those laid to rest inside. Their physical presence transformed the land into a sacred geography, a constant reminder of the ancestors who watched over the living. Researchers like Mike Parker Pearson see the very act of construction as a ritual, a way for the living to weave themselves and their lineage into the fabric of the world. Inside, beyond the entrance of massive stones, you would not find a simple pit. These mounds often contained intricate chambers, sometimes built with stone, and arranged to hold multiple individuals over generations. This careful architecture suggests a deep belief in a continued existence, a need to provide a dignified and protected resting place that connected the physical world with the spiritual one. The size of the mound directly reflected the status of the person or people within, making every large barrow a declaration of power, ancestry, and territorial claim. By building these eternal homes, our ancestors were not just burying their dead. They were anchoring their identity to the land, creating a permanent dialogue between the generations. This deep-seated need to honor, to remember, and to claim one's place in the world would find expression in earthworks of a very different, yet equally powerful form. The sheer scale of these ramparts was a declaration in earth and turf. At places like Maiden Castle in Dorset, entire communities reshaped hilltops into formidable strongholds, their defenses a complex series of deep ditches and towering banks that dominated the skyline. More than just walls, these hillforts were statements of power and control. The engineering was sophisticated, requiring planners to understand how to manage water runoff and prevent the steep earthen slopes from collapsing. This was not a task for a few families, but a coordinated effort that would have required strong leadership and the shared labor of everyone. Historian Barry Cunliffe suggests that the very process of construction reinforced social bonds, turning a collection of individuals into a unified community. The finished ramparts did more than just deter potential conflict. They projected an image of unshakable strength and resilience to everyone in the surrounding valleys. Their strategic placement on high ground was not accidental. It offered a panoramic view for surveillance, allowing sentries to spot travelers or potential challenges from miles away, and it positioned these communities as central hubs in regional trade networks. But if these earthworks were about projecting power outward, what of those built to connect with the heavens above? This question leads us to earthworks of a far more ceremonial nature. These sprawling desert drawings transform the ground into a canvas for the cosmos. Etched into the arid plains of Peru, the Nazca lines present a mystery only fully understood from high above, where the forms of a hummingbird, a spider, and a monkey emerge from the earth. Known as geoglyphs, these massive designs were created by carefully removing the dark surface stones to reveal the lighter soil beneath, a technique that produced stunning, long-lasting images. This was not an isolated phenomenon. Far to the north, the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio coils for over 1,300 feet along a ridge, its massive form visible only from the air. And in England, the Uffington White Horse, a stylized figure carved into a chalk hill, has galloped across the landscape for 3,000 years. What unites these distant creations is their profound connection to the sky. Researchers like Anthony Aveney note that many geoglyphs are precisely aligned with celestial events, such as the solstice sun or the rising of certain stars. The serpent's head at the Ohio Mound, for instance, aligns with the summer solstice sunset, while many Nazca lines point directly to the horizon where the sun and stars would rise on significant dates. This suggests these earthworks were far more than art. They were giant calendars and ceremonial arenas. Aveney proposes that the very act of walking these lines, of following the vast pathways etched into the earth, was a form of spiritual pilgrimage. The immense, coordinated effort required to build them, with their perfect geometric precision achieved without modern tools, points to a powerful, shared cultural purpose. It was a way for an entire community to physically interact with the forces they believed governed their world, from the cycles of the seasons to the movements of the heavens. If these earthworks were designed to read the sky, then perhaps others were built to mirror it, creating a sacred landscape right here on the ground. The mountains themselves became a source of life, sculpted into vast green stairways. In the highlands of the Philippines, the Ifugao rice terraces coil around the contours of the mountains, each level a perfectly engineered pool that captures rainfall and nourishes the soil. These are not just farms, they are perhaps the most vital earthworks of all, the agricultural terraces that fed entire civilizations. From the steep slopes of the Andes to the volcanic islands of Southeast Asia, ancient farmers transformed impossible terrain into fertile ground. Their genius lay in understanding the land itself, creating systems to control the flow of water and prevent the precious topsoil from simply washing away. This required a deep, generational knowledge of hydrology, the science of water movement, and soil management. Building a single terrace was a feat, but maintaining an entire mountainside required something more, a unified community. Researchers like Carl Zimmerer point to the incredible social organization needed for such projects, where generations of families coordinated their labor to build and repair these intricate landscapes over centuries. The terraces were a shared inheritance, a collective work that bound the community together through a common purpose of survival. And while their function was undeniably practical, their form often held a deeper resonance. The harmonious, stepped lines blending with the natural curves of the mountain suggested a profound relationship with the environment, a belief in a balance between human need and the spirit of the land. For the people who built them, these terraces were not just how they grew food, they were central to their cultural identity, a living monument to their resilience and ingenuity. This seamless blending of survival and spirituality, of communal effort and sacred space, reveals a fundamental truth. The very act of organizing people to reshape the world on such a scale inevitably created a new kind of landscape, one that reflected not just harmony with nature, but also the emerging structures of power and status within society itself. Stretching across an Ohio ridge, the Great Serpent Mound uncoils for a quarter-mile, a silent, earthen reptile forever holding its mystery. This is an effigy mound, a structure built not just with earth but with profound symbolism. Across North America, indigenous cultures shaped the land into the forms of powerful animals and spiritual beings, from soaring birds to lumbering bears. These were far more than simple images. They were monumental expressions of a community's deepest beliefs and clan identities. Constructed in highly visible locations, these effigy mounds became sacred ceremonial centers. Here, entire communities would gather for rituals that connected them directly to the spirit world and the fundamental forces of nature. The very shape of the mound was a language. Anthropologist Robert Hall suggests that the forms, like a bird with outstretched wings, may have mirrored constellations or served as a physical map of the universe itself, anchoring the community's cosmology to the land they inhabited. The act of building such a place was itself a sacred endeavor. The coordinated effort of moving basket after basket of soil to form the serpent's curves or the bear's powerful shoulders was a ritual that strengthened social bonds. With each new layer, elders could pass down stories and cultural knowledge to the next generation, ensuring that their worldview was literally embedded in the earth for centuries to come. The symbolic depth of these mounds reveals a crucial insight. Our ancestors were not just moving dirt, they were encoding their entire understanding of the cosmos into the landscape. This profound act of creation, blending art, religion, and community, makes you wonder, how did they achieve such perfect, enduring forms with only the most basic tools? The engineering behind these earthworks is a story of ingenuity written in soil and stone. Picture thousands of individuals working not with machines, but with tools crafted from antler picks, wooden digging sticks, and woven baskets. With these simple instruments, they achieved the monumental, moving millions of tons of earth across generations. This was a global phenomenon, a shared human solution to an immense challenge, relying on organized labor and sophisticated planning that engaged entire communities. The techniques were brilliantly adapted to local conditions. In Europe, builders layered chalk and clay to create stable, draining mounds like Silbury Hill. In the Andes, farmers constructed intricate stone walls to reinforce their mountain terraces, preventing collapse and managing water flow with precision. Each method was a masterclass in using available materials to solve specific environmental problems. Archaeologist Francis Pryor highlights that this work demanded far more than brute force. It required a deep understanding of geometry for laying out vast shapes, surveying to align structures with celestial bodies or the landscape, and a practical knowledge of soil mechanics to ensure these massive forms would stand the test of time. This labor was often a seasonal rhythm woven into the annual cycle of planting and harvest. When the fields were resting, the community would turn its collective effort to these grand projects. This cyclical work may have been imbued with profound ritual significance, transforming the physical act of moving earth into a collective spiritual practice, a way to strengthen social bonds and honor ancestral traditions with every basket laid in place. The sheer coordination reveals societies capable of incredible collaboration, raising a compelling question about the powerful, unifying purpose that could inspire such sustained and harmonious effort. From the summit of an ancient mound, the horizon becomes a calendar. The sun does not rise or set at random, but at specific points along the earthwork's carefully sculpted banks, marking the longest day of the year or the equinox with celestial precision. This was a global phenomenon. At Cahokia, across the Mississippi River from what is now St. Louis, the Great Monk's Mound was the center of a city aligned to the cardinal directions, its central axis pointing to the maximum rise of the sun. In England, the massive circular banks surrounding Stonehenge frame the solstice sunrise for those standing at its center. These were not merely symbolic gestures, they were highly functional observatories built from the earth itself. By observing the shifting points of sunrise and sunset along these fixed horizons, ancient societies could track the passage of the year with remarkable accuracy. This celestial knowledge was the bedrock of survival, dictating when to plant crops, when to harvest, and when to prepare for the changing seasons. It also governed the spiritual life of the community, scheduling rituals that honored the cosmic cycles they saw as divine. The work of archaeoastronomers like Clive Ruggles demonstrates that these alignments are too consistent and too complex to be accidental. They reflect a universal human impulse to find order in the cosmos and to weave that order into the very ground we walk on. This profound understanding of time and space, encoded in soil and alignment, required more than just observation. It demanded a society capable of a shared vision and a coordinated effort that spanned generations. The rhythmic work of moving earth was a powerful social glue, binding a community together with a shared purpose. In villages across the ancient world, contributing to a great mound or rampart was not just a chore, it was a civic duty and a profound collective experience. This shared labor forged a powerful sense of identity, turning a group of families into a unified people with a common legacy. Beyond this social bonding, the construction process also reinforced the emerging structures of power. Organizing such a massive undertaking required leaders, planners, and overseers, individuals whose authority became visible and undeniable as the earthwork rose higher. Historian Susan Alcock suggests that in times of social transition, such as after a shift in leadership, these projects could be used to legitimize new rulers or even integrate different groups into a single society. The completed earthwork stood as a permanent testament to the community's collective strength and the organizational skill of its leaders, a display meant to be seen and understood by all. This deep insight into the human dynamics behind these monuments leads us to an even more compelling layer of motivation, the spiritual beliefs that transformed physical labor into a sacred act. The summit of a Mesoamerican pyramid mound was more than a high place, it was a threshold. Here, rituals performed by spiritual leaders were believed to bridge the world of the living with the realm of the divine. These ceremonies, aimed at ensuring rain and a bountiful harvest, transformed the entire structure into a massive altar. This concept of earthworks as sacred spaces was a global constant. They became destinations for pilgrimages, places where individuals could feel a direct connection to powerful spiritual forces. The very shape of these structures often held deep meaning. A serpentine effigy might represent a creator being from mythology, while a circular embankment could mirror the community's understanding of the cosmos. Scholar Miranda Aldhouse Green suggests that the labor of construction was itself an act of devotion. Each basket of earth carried and laid in place was a physical offering, a tribute to ancestral spirits or the gods of the land. This turned the entire years-long process into a continuous ritual. These sites naturally became the heart of community life, hosting seasonal festivals that celebrated the solstices or rites of passage that welcomed young people into adulthood. Such gatherings reinforced cultural values and strengthened the bonds that held the society together. The profound spiritual power concentrated in these places made them more than just ceremonial centers. It also made them powerful statements of identity and belonging, a concept that would be expressed in a very tangible way across the landscape. A newly built Hillfort casts a long shadow over the valley below, its stark ramparts a clear line in the earth. This was more than a defense, it was a declaration. Across continents, massive earthworks served as undeniable territorial markers, shaping the land to broadcast political authority and ethnic identity. In pre-Columbian America, the great platform mounds at centers like Cahokia did not simply house elites. They physically elevated them, placing their residences high above the rest of the city in a constant, visible reminder of the social order. These structures deliberately separated the sacred precincts of the powerful from the everyday spaces of the community, defining clear social and political boundaries. Archaeologist Colin Renfrew notes that the sheer investment of labor in such monuments was a powerful signal of a group's permanence and resilience. A society capable of moving mountains of earth was a society not to be challenged, effectively deterring conflict through a display of collective capability and organizational strength. The strategic placement of these earthworks amplified their message. Situated at natural choke points along river trade routes or overlooking fertile plains, they secured access to vital resources like water, farmland, and prized materials. Their location at ceremonial centers turned them into stages for political theater, where rituals and gatherings reinforced the authority of leaders in the eyes of both their own people and visiting groups. This function of defining territory and projecting power was never separate from the land itself, instead becoming a profound dialogue between human ambition and the natural world. An effigy mound does not conquer the hill it rests upon, but instead flows with its curves, a seamless extension of the landscape itself. This was a deliberate choice, a profound dialogue between human creation and the natural world. For many cultures, the goal was not to dominate nature, but to harmonize with it, to build in a way that enhanced the inherent power and beauty of a place. The terraces of Machu Picchu are a masterclass in this philosophy, where stone structures follow the precise contours of the mountain ridge, as if the city were a natural outgrowth of the rock. This was not merely an aesthetic achievement, it was a deep ecological understanding, a way to prevent erosion and manage water in a challenging environment. The builders saw themselves as partners with the land, not its masters. Yet the story is not so simple. Contrast this with the formidable ramparts of a hillfort, its stark ditches and banks carved defiantly into a hilltop. Here, the intention was to reshape, to control, to declare human dominion over the terrain for collective security. Environmental historian William Cronon notes that even these acts of domination had unintended consequences, often creating entirely new ecosystems. The cleared land around a fort might encourage new plant growth, while the ditches themselves could become sheltered microhabitats. This interplay reveals a spectrum of motivation, from a desire for symbiosis to a need for supremacy, each earthwork a frozen moment of a culture's relationship with its world. How then, across such a vast gulf of time, can we ever hope to truly understand which purpose was primary? The silent testimony of the earth itself presents our greatest challenge. A single layer of soil can hold 1,000 years of silence. When an archaeologist carefully brushes away the earth, they are not just uncovering a structure, they are attempting to read a text where most of the words have been erased by rain, roots, and the relentless passage of time. Interpreting these massive earthworks is a profound challenge, a puzzle where the most important pieces are often missing. The first and greatest obstacle is the sheer incompleteness of the evidence. Centuries of erosion can soften the sharp angles of a rampart, filling ditches and rounding the once crisp profile of a mound until its original form is only a ghost of its former self. Beyond the physical decay, we face the loss of the stories themselves, the oral traditions, the songs, and the direct knowledge that once explained why a serpent was built here or a terrace was shaped in that specific way have often faded into silence. Without these living narratives, we are left to guess at the symbolism that was once as clear as day to the people who built it. Modern technology offers a powerful new lens. Tools like LiDAR, which uses lasers to map the ground surface even through dense forest canopy, and ground-penetrating radar, which sees beneath the soil without a single shovel cut, have revolutionized our understanding. They can reveal the footprints of long-vanished buildings clustered around a mound or detect hidden ceremonial pits within a barrow. Yet these incredible tools have a fundamental limitation. They can show us the physical shape, but they cannot recover the meaning. They cannot tell us what the people felt when they gathered there or the specific prayers they offered to the sky. This gap in understanding leads to another significant hurdle, the problem of our own cultural bias. It is all too easy for modern researchers to impose contemporary logic onto an ancient worldview, to see a massive earthwork and immediately label it a fort, a palace, or a tomb based on our own concepts of power and purpose. Scholars caution that a single earthwork was likely a multifaceted place, its role evolving over generations. A mound might begin as a ceremonial center, become a territorial marker centuries later, and finally be seen as the resting place of a legendary ancestor. This ambiguity demands that we approach these sites with humility, using a multidisciplinary approach that weaves together the hard evidence of archaeology with the insights of anthropology, and crucially, the enduring knowledge of indigenous communities. This collaborative effort is our best hope for piecing together a more accurate and respectful picture of the past. Embracing these interpretive challenges does not diminish the mystery of these places. Instead, it deepens our appreciation for their complexity and prepares us to look more closely at the stories of specific sites where the evidence, however fragmented, still speaks volumes. Silbury Hill stands in quiet defiance of explanation. Its smooth, grassy slopes rise 130 feet above the Wiltshire Plain, a perfect cone of chalk and clay that is the largest prehistoric mound in Europe. For centuries, this silent giant has guarded its secret. Built over generations around 4,400 years ago, its creation demanded a staggering communal effort, an estimated 18 million hours of labor from people using only antler picks and woven baskets. Yet when 18th century engineers tunneled into its heart, they found no grand burial chamber, no hidden hoard of treasure. The mound was and remains seemingly empty. This profound absence is the core of its mystery. Why would an entire society pour so much of its life into a project that appears to serve no practical purpose? The answer may be that its purpose was anything but practical. One compelling theory suggests the hill is a symbolic representation, an artificial mountain built to honor a powerful earth goddess or to physically manifest a sacred peak in an otherwise gentle landscape. Its imposing presence could have served as a platform for rituals, elevating ceremonies closer to the heavens, or as a giant astronomical marker, its shadow or alignment with the surrounding hills marking significant solar events. It does not stand alone. Silbury Hill is part of a vast ceremonial complex, intimately connected to the nearby stone circles of Observatories and the processional way of the West Kennet Avenue. Some researchers propose that the hill was a central point in this sacred geography, a man-made mountain around which the spiritual life of the community revolved. Modern technology has peeled back the layers of time without solving the central riddle. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed that the hill was not built in a single campaign, but in a series of distinct phases. The builders began with a small gravel mound, then encased it within a larger structure, and then another, like a set of earthen nesting dolls. This phased construction hints at a living, evolving project, one that may have reflected shifting religious beliefs or changing social structures over many generations. Perhaps each new layer was laid down to mark the reign of a new leader or to commemorate a great event, making the hill a permanent, growing record of the community's history. The enduring power of Silbury Hill lies in this very ambiguity. It refuses to be neatly labeled as a tomb, a fortress, or a temple. Instead, it embodies the idea that the most significant human creations are often those that serve the intangible needs of the spirit and the society. This same resistance to simple categorization echoes across the ocean, where another continent's earthworks present mysteries just as profound. The silence of Silbury Hill finds a powerful echo across the Atlantic. On the floodplains of the Mississippi River, the city of Cahokia once pulsed with a life we can only try to reconstruct, its heart a colossal earthen pyramid known today as Monk's Mound. This was not a burial place hidden in the landscape, but a platform raised defiantly toward the sky, a stage for the living, covering over 14 acres at its base and rising 100 feet high. It remains the largest prehistoric earthwork in North America. From its flat summit around the year 1000, a ruler or priest could look down upon a thriving metropolis of thousands, a sprawling city of thatched roofs, bustling plazas, and ceremonial poles that rivaled any in Europe at the time. The mound itself was the undeniable center of it all, a man-made mountain that anchored the city's political, religious, and economic life for 4 centuries. Archaeologists believe its summit supported a grand temple or the residence of a powerful chief, a building that physically elevated its occupant, placing them closer to the spiritual forces of the sun and sky. This was power made visible, a constant looming reminder of a social order where a chosen few resided at the very top, both literally and figuratively. The mound did not stand alone. It faced a vast, open plaza the size of 45 football fields, a space designed for public spectacle. Here, the entire community would gather for ceremonies, to watch ritual games like Chunky, and to engage in vibrant trade that brought shells from the Gulf Coast, copper from the Great Lakes, and mica from the Appalachians. This integration of grand architecture with daily life made Cahokia a true hub, a place where the spiritual, the political, and the economic were woven together into the very fabric of the city. Yet by the 1300s, the city was largely abandoned, its great mound left silent. The reasons for its decline are still debated, a combination of factors that may have included shifts in climate affecting crops, the overuse of local resources like timber, and perhaps social unrest. Cahokia's story reveals a profound truth about these great earthworks. They were not just symbols of a society's peak power, but could also reflect its underlying vulnerabilities, a testament to the immense effort required to sustain such complex communities. This pattern of rise and fall, of grand construction followed by silence, is a thread that connects Cahokia to other great earthworks around the globe, prompting us to ask what universal challenges these ancient societies ultimately faced. High above the Nazca Desert, the Earth transforms into a sprawling canvas of impossible scale. Etched into the sun-baked pampas are colossal spiders, hummingbirds with wings outstretched, and geometric lines so straight and long they seem to defy human creation. These are the Nazca lines, a gallery of geoglyphs so vast its full composition is only visible from the sky. They were created by the Nazca people over a 1,000-year period, beginning around 500 years before the Common Era, through a deceptively simple technique. By carefully removing the dark, oxidized stones that littered the desert surface, they exposed the lighter, sandy soil beneath, creating stark, contrasting images that have been preserved for centuries by the region's uniquely dry and windless climate. This was not a hurried act, but a deliberate, generations-long project that covered nearly 250 square miles. For a long time, their sheer size and aerial perspective fueled speculation about otherworldly architects, yet the truth is far more fascinating. The scholarly consensus, built on decades of ground-level study, points to a profound earthly purpose, deeply rooted in the community's survival and spirituality. Many of the long, straight lines functioned as sacred pathways, walked during ritual processions. Researchers found that these paths often lead to small ceremonial mounds or sources of water, turning the entire desert into a ritual landscape. But the purpose went even deeper, reaching for the heavens themselves. The work of researchers like Anthony Aveni reveals that numerous lines are precisely aligned with the sun's position on the solstices, or with the rising points of important stars and constellations. This was not random art, it was a sophisticated celestial calendar, a way to track the passage of time and predict the changing seasons. This astronomical knowledge was a matter of life and death. In a desert environment where water was everything, knowing when the mountain rains would come to feed the rivers was crucial for planting and harvest. The anthropologist Johann Reinhard built on this, proposing that the lines and figures were part of a comprehensive belief system, a fertility cult aimed at appealing to the deities who controlled water and mountains. The spider, a creature associated with rain in Andean mythology, or the monkey, linked to the forested eastern mountains where the rains originated, were not mere drawings. They were giant prayers, offerings to powerful spirits to bring the life-giving water that would ensure the community's survival. The very act of walking the lines during ceremonies was a way for the people to physically interact with these forces, to walk the paths of the cosmos and plead their case to the gods. The Nazca lines, therefore, stand as a stunning example of how earthworks could encode an entire worldview, seamlessly blending practical astronomy with profound spiritual belief. They bridged the gap between the human need for water and the cosmic cycles that governed it, turning a barren desert into a sacred text written for the heavens. The ramparts of Danbury Hillfort still command the English countryside, a triple ring of ditches and banks that once shielded an entire community. Within these earthen walls, hundreds of people lived and worked, their homes and storehouses protected by formidable defenses. Yet excavations reveal these were far more than just military installations. The Hillfort was a bustling hub, where skilled artisans forged iron tools and crafted fine pottery, where surplus grain was stored in vast pits to weather lean seasons, and where people gathered for seasonal markets and social ceremonies. The very construction of these places was a rhythm of life, a seasonal activity undertaken when the fields were fallow, turning the shared labor into a powerful ritual that reinforced a collective identity. This was a landscape of layered purpose where defense and daily life were inseparable. The strategic placement on a high hill was a statement of control, offering a panoramic view over vital farmland and the trade routes that snaked through the valleys below. But the most telling discoveries were not of weapons but of offerings. Carefully placed objects, from animal remains to finely made tools, were found in the ditches and near the gateways, suggesting that spiritual practices were deeply woven into the very fabric of the fort's defenses. This blurs our modern distinction between the sacred and the secular, revealing a world where the community sought protection not just from human challengers, but from spiritual forces as well. The earthworks of Danbury were not a static monument, but a living system that evolved over centuries, its banks reinforced and its gates redesigned in response to new threats and changing social needs. It stands as a powerful reminder that these structures were not merely walls of earth, but the dynamic, beating heart of a society, adapting to protect everything its people held dear. A gentle ridge in Iowa reveals the silhouette of a great bear, its earthen form flowing with the contours of the land. This is Effigy Mound's national monument, where woodland cultures, over 6 centuries beginning around 700 years after the Common Era, shaped the soil into a gallery of sacred animals. These are not solitary monuments but communities of forms, with clusters of birds, bears, and other powerful beings often situated near the life-giving waterways of the Mississippi and its tributaries. Their placement was a deliberate conversation with the environment, anchoring the spiritual world to the most vital features of the physical one. Unlike the burial mounds of Europe, many of these effigy forms contain few, if any, human remains, shifting their primary purpose from honoring the departed to serving the living community. Their function appears to have been deeply ceremonial and territorial, acting as permanent markers of clan identity and spiritual guardianship. Each bear or bird shape likely represented a specific clan totem, a symbol of shared ancestry and responsibility that was literally woven into the earth. The construction of such a place was a collective act of storytelling, a way to inscribe a community's mythology onto the landscape for all to see and remember. This enduring connection is affirmed by the oral histories of descendant communities, which speak of these sites as sacred spaces for prayer, meditation, and vision quests, where individuals sought guidance and strength from the spiritual realm. The incredible diversity of forms, from lumbering mammals to soaring birds, highlights a flourishing of indigenous creativity, a testament to the unique ways different groups express their relationship with the world. This rich tradition of building with meaning invites a powerful comparison, not just across North America, but with ceremonial landscapes across the globe, suggesting a universal human impulse to mark the earth with symbols of our deepest beliefs. The platform mounds of Cahokia and the temple pyramids of Mesoamerica speak a shared architectural language of power. Separated by thousands of miles with no evidence of contact, these societies both raised colossal earthen platforms to elevate their rulers and priests, both literally and spiritually. Atop these high places, rituals unfolded that were believed to bridge the human and divine realms, cementing the authority of a chosen few who stood closest to the gods. This was not an isolated parallel. From the solstice-aligned banks of European henges to the celestial pathways of the Nazca Desert, a common set of themes emerges across the globe. The precise tracking of the heavens, the gathering of entire communities for ceremony, and the clear expression of a social order through monumental labor appear again and again. How could such similar ideas blossom in such distant and disconnected cultures? Scholars like David Friedel suggest this is a powerful example of convergent evolution in human societies. Just as different species might independently evolve wings to master the sky, different cultures, facing the universal challenges of organizing large groups of people and understanding their place in the cosmos, independently arrived at a similar solution, reshaping the very earth beneath their feet. The result was a global tapestry of earthworks, each thread unique in its material, its specific form, and its local function, yet woven from the same fundamental human impulses. The massive stone-faced pyramids of Mesoamerica differ in material from the packed clay mounds of the Mississippi, just as the defensive might of a European Hillfort served a different immediate need than the artistic prayer of a desert geoglyph. These differences are crucial, reminding us that each creation was a unique cultural expression, a local answer to a universal question. Embracing this global perspective transforms these scattered monuments from isolated curiosities into a collective human phenomenon, a testament to our shared drive to mark our world with meaning. Yet this very quest for understanding has often been clouded by layers of modern myth and misconception. The idea of a lost super race or alien engineers is a story that has been told for generations, but it is a story that unravels under the weight of the evidence. The real mystery is not who built these earthworks, but why we are so quick to credit anyone other than the people who actually lived there. For the intricate Nazca lines, the tools used to create them were simple, found at the site, piles of the dark surface stones that were moved to form the images. The social structures needed to coordinate such work were complex, but entirely human, rooted in the community's shared beliefs and survival needs. To suggest these feats were beyond the capability of indigenous cultures is to ignore a vast archaeological record of local innovation. Historians like Ronald Hutton point out that these fantastical theories often carry an unintended but damaging consequence. By inventing a mysterious, vanished civilization or otherworldly intervention, they effectively erase the legacy of the native peoples, denying them their own history and their remarkable achievements. It is a narrative that, however thrilling, can perpetuate a colonial mindset, one that struggles to accept that sophisticated cultures flourished independently across the globe. The truth is far more compelling. It lies in the painstaking work of archaeologists who have uncovered the remains of the workers' camps near the Great Mounds, the analysis of pottery styles that show cultural continuity over centuries, and the oral histories of descendant communities that still hold knowledge of these places. We do not need aliens to explain how a society could move millions of baskets of earth. We only need to understand the power of a unified community driven by a shared spiritual vision and a deep knowledge of their environment. When we set aside the myths of extraterrestrials and lost tribes, we clear the way for a more respectful and accurate appreciation of the past. This allows modern science, from soil chemistry to satellite imagery, to reveal the genuine story of human ingenuity written into the land itself. A story that honors the true builders and the profound meaning they embedded in the earth. A drone's laser pulse cuts through a dense jungle canopy, striking the ground and returning a signal that will soon reveal a city. This is the power of light detection and ranging, a technology that is fundamentally rewriting the map of our ancient past. By firing millions of laser pulses from an aircraft or drone, LiDAR creates a highly detailed three-dimensional model of the Earth's surface, effectively digitally stripping away vegetation to show the human-made contours hidden below. It is like giving archaeologists X-ray vision for entire landscapes. In regions like the jungles of Central America, where thick foliage has concealed ruins for centuries, LiDAR surveys have unveiled astonishing complexity. What were once thought to be isolated Maya temples are now understood to be the cores of vast, interconnected urban centers, laced with raised roadways, residential districts, and intricate agricultural terraces that supported populations far larger than anyone had imagined. This technology does not just find single sites, it reveals entire ancient geographies. Archaeologist Arlen Chase notes that these data sets show patterns of settlement and land use on a regional scale, allowing us to see how a society organized its territory, from its ceremonial heart to its most distant farmstead. The purpose of an earthwork becomes much clearer when you can see its relationship to a nearby reservoir or a long-forgotten trade route. Beyond LiDAR, other tools are adding new layers of understanding. Ground-penetrating radar can peer beneath the soil to detect buried walls or ceremonial pits without a single shovel cut. Magnetometry measures tiny variations in the Earth's magnetic field to locate ancient hearths or storage pits. Each of these non-invasive methods helps build a more complete picture, allowing researchers to ask bigger questions. How did a society manage its water across a whole valley? Where did the builders of a great mound actually live? The answers are now emerging from the data, revealing the incredible scale of coordination and environmental management that these ancient civilizations achieved. As these technologies become more advanced and more widely available, they promise to uncover countless more hidden structures, from the dense rainforests of the Amazon to the remote highlands of Southeast Asia. Each new discovery has the potential to reshape our understanding of human ingenuity, showing us that the footprints of past civilizations are far more extensive and sophisticated than we ever knew. The desert's dry breath is a perfect preservative. In the arid plains of Peru, the Nazca lines have endured for 2,000 years, their stark forms kept crisp by a near-total lack of rain and wind. This environmental luck stands in stark contrast to the fate of many European mounds, where centuries of relentless rainfall have softened ramparts, filled ditches, and slowly melted earthen structures back into the landscape. The very ground an earthwork is built upon becomes the greatest factor in its survival, creating a powerful bias in the archaeological record. We can study the Nazca lines in stunning detail, but we must piece together the original grandeur of many northern sites from mere shadows and soil stains. This environmental lottery dictates which stories are shouted from the earth and which are only whispered, but the role of climate goes far beyond simple preservation. Shifts in long-term weather patterns may have been a primary driver for both the creation and the abandonment of these monumental projects. A prolonged period of reliable rainfall might have allowed a society to flourish, providing the agricultural surplus and labor force needed to build a great mound. Then, a sudden shift to a drier climate or a series of devastating floods could have shattered that stability, forcing communities to abandon their ceremonial centers to focus solely on survival. The earthworks themselves can hold the clues to these ancient climate crises. By taking core samples from the soil of an agricultural terrace, scientists can analyze pollen and sediment layers. This tells them what was grown there and how water was managed, revealing a society's ingenious adaptations to their specific environment. The terraces of the Effigy, for example, are not just farms. They are a complex, living system designed to capture and conserve every drop of rainwater in a mountainous region. Each terrace wall, each irrigation channel, represents a hard-won victory over the challenges of the land. This deep understanding forces us to see these structures not as isolated monuments, but as dynamic parts of an ecosystem. They were built in response to the environment, they were shaped by its forces, and their survival into the modern era is a gift of its specific conditions. This connection between past and present environment raises urgent new questions for their future. How do we protect these vulnerable sites from the new challenges of a changing global climate? The same knowledge that helps us understand their resilience now guides modern conservation, creating a direct link between the wisdom of ancient builders and our responsibility to safeguard their legacy for generations to come. Every basket of soil carefully placed today helps protect a story told for thousands of years. Across the globe, teams of archaeologists and local volunteers work to stabilize eroding slopes and repair weather-damaged ditches, using traditional materials like woven wattles and locally sourced turf to ensure their repairs are as authentic as the original structure. This quiet, dedicated work is a race against a host of modern challenges. The expansion of farmland can slowly encroach on an ancient mound, while urban development threatens to pave over entire sacred landscapes. Looters searching for artifacts leave behind destructive pits that weaken structures and erase invaluable historical context. Perhaps the most pervasive new threat is climate change, as increased rainfall accelerates erosion on earthen banks and prolonged droughts crack and destabilize ancient adobe. The fight to save these sites requires a coordinated alliance between national governments, international bodies, local communities, and researchers. Organizations like UNESCO play a vital role by designating locations as World Heritage Sites, a status that raises global awareness and can unlock crucial funding for preservation projects. This international recognition helps shield sites from immediate threats like mining or large-scale construction, but the day-to-day protection relies on sustainable, gentle techniques. To prevent scrub from taking root and splitting apart an ancient rampart with its roots, conservationists might introduce controlled grazing, where a small flock of sheep naturally trims the grass. Sophisticated drainage systems are installed to channel water away from vulnerable slopes, and non-invasive monitoring with drones and ground sensors tracks even the slightest shift in the earthworks form over time. The most essential element, however, is the active involvement of descendant communities. Their traditional knowledge about the land, the materials, and the deep cultural meaning of a place ensures that conservation is not just a technical fix, but an act of cultural respect. When elders share stories and community members join the work, preservation becomes a continuation of the very legacy the earthwork represents. This global effort to safeguard our shared human heritage raises a profound question. What do these enduring monuments ultimately reveal about us? These silent monuments are a testament to a universal human truth, our deep-seated need to leave a lasting mark on the world. They are messages in soil, sent from our ancestors to remind us of what we can achieve when we work together. The first and perhaps most profound lesson they teach is the incredible power of community cooperation. These earthworks were not the product of a single ruler or a lone genius, but the cumulative effort of generations of ordinary people, each carrying a basket of earth toward a shared vision. This collective labor forged powerful social bonds, turning a group of individuals into a unified society with a common identity and purpose. The very act of building together was a ritual that strengthened the community from within, proving that our greatest monuments are often born from shared belief rather than individual command. Beyond this social glue, these structures reveal a world where the spiritual and the practical were seamlessly woven together. A terrace was not just a farm, it was a prayer for a good harvest. A mound was not just a platform, it was a bridge to the heavens. This integration of belief with daily life provided a powerful, cohesive force that guided everything from the calendar to the construction of a home. It was a worldview that saw the sacred in every aspect of existence, from the water in the irrigation channel to the sun rising over the ceremonial bank. This holistic perspective fostered a remarkable adaptability. Each earthwork is a masterclass in innovation, a specific solution to a local environmental challenge. The builders of the Effigy terraces developed intricate water management to farm mountainsides, while the Nazca people created a celestial calendar in the desert to predict life-giving rains. They did not fight their environment, but learned to work with it, using a deep, generational knowledge of their specific place in the world. This historical insight offers a powerful parallel to our modern struggles with sustainability and social cohesion. In an era of global challenges, these ancient landscapes remind us that long-term survival depends on our ability to collaborate, to integrate our values with our actions, and to design our societies in harmony with the natural world, not in opposition to it. They challenge us to look at the legacy we are building today. What will the earthworks of our own time say about our priorities, our community, and our relationship with the planet to those who come after us? Our journey across these ancient landscapes reminds us that these earthworks are not just piles of dirt, but profound expressions of human spirit. They stand as enduring testaments to creativity, faith, and an unyielding perseverance to make sense of a mysterious world. We have walked alongside the builders of burial mounds who honored their ancestors, traced the celestial pathways of desert geoglyphs that mapped the heavens, and stood in the shadows of platform mounds that projected power across entire cities. Through it all, a common thread emerges, a shared human impulse to shape our world with meaning, to connect our communities through shared labor, and to leave a permanent mark that whispers our story to the future. This universal drive bridges continents and centuries, revealing that our deepest needs for belonging, understanding, and expression are timeless. Let these silent monuments inspire you to look more closely at the landscape around you. The gentle hill on the horizon or the strange shape in a local park might hold echoes of a story waiting to be remembered. I would love to hear which of these earthworks resonated most with you, so please share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this adventure into our shared past, subscribing ensures you will not miss the next exploration. Thank you for joining this journey to uncover the hidden purposes behind the world's massive earthworks. May their silent wisdom continue to resonate, reminding us of what we can achieve together.